So first Berserker Khazan has been out for a while now and I've had plenty of fun with the game. I made a previous video ranking the bosses from easiest to hardest, so in today's video, I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best. The main ones to be exact. If you want to see more content like this, then be sure to like and subscribe. If you don't, then that's fine by me. Anyways, without wasting any more of your time, let's get straight to 16th place. Man, I don't care what anyone say, I straight up hate this fight. I genuinely think she's the worst boss in the game. So, Balerion is a mage-like boss, meaning she's gonna be spamming annoying bullshit throughout the whole encounter. Usually this isn't an issue, as most times as long as you can easily keep up with the boss, you should be able to do a long ass combo which then stuns them for a short time. However, you can't do this with her. After realizing you're applying pressure, she will teleport away and then spam some more annoying magic. Okay, so that's bad, but what's worse is that she always applies the shield thingy around her. This is so annoying as it feels like it pauses the fight. But what's even worse is the summons, especially this big guy who's basically a whole nother mini boss. I know some people say that her summoning him is a punishment for not keeping up with her, but holy shit man, it's not like I'm crawling towards her. But yeah, because of this I genuinely hate this fight because come on, it's just too exhausting. And speaking of annoying bitch ass bosses, we have Rankus. Bro, I've yet to find someone who actually likes this guy. He just sucks. Bro has more delayed attacks than an Elden Ring boss. But that's not the worst part. The worst part about this whole encounter is how quickly this mofo regenerates his stamina. I feel like he's one of those bosses that was just purposely made to piss players off. He also has a shit ton of health, so not only do you have to worry about his stamina regenerating quicker than the Flash, you also have to worry about your brain being exhausted due to how long it's going to take to make his health go all the way down. The best strategy for this guy is to get his stamina all the way down, then use a heavy hitting special attack or skill to completely exhaust him before he has a chance to regenerate. Apart from those things though, his moveset is fairly easily telegraphed, but again, it's just his health and stamina that makes him suck. So if you watched my first ranking video, I mentioned how much I hated Aratra, not because it's a bad boss or anything, but pretty generic one. And my thoughts are the same here, except I'm a little less harsh. Previously I criticized the moveset saying that it was hard to get used to, and despite me not struggling with her, I could tell it was a hard fight. So that was a skill issue. As refighting her made me realize that her moveset is fairly simple and easy to get used to. The only annoying part of the fight is the spiders she summoned, but all you gotta do is just, don't get caught in their mini explosions and you're good. Also, you can seal off tunnels to prevent them from ever showing up. But despite the fight not being annoying or hard, the visuals is what made me rank it pretty low, as it's just another generic spider boss. Not only that, but it's in a cave. Very creative. That may sound like the most nitpicky shit ever, but come on, I just find spider-like enemies and bosses to be the most lamest shit ever. But all that aside, still not a bad boss, but definitely one of my least favorites. I kinda like fighting Volbano at first, and I still think he's a decent fight, but man, I think he has way too much health. Like, I'll be fighting this dude for like 1 to 2 minutes straight, only to realize I'm just tickling him. And funny thing is, on my second playthrough with a new save, he actually gave me a harder time than Viper, so yeah, skill issue. Anyways, apart from his large ass health pool, he's actually a good boss moveset wise. While it's rather simple, it's kind of fun to counter each of his attacks, but again, what drags this fight down is how well, dragged out it felt due to his health. Next up we have Elamane, who while not a bad fight, is definitely not all that fun either, especially if you're using the dual wield. Usually this class shreds bosses, but she's the biggest counter to it, cause all she does is just cower behind her shield. Now all that shield shit aside, her moveset is actually pretty okay. Her attacks while fast usually have a lot of wind up, giving you enough time to react, and the parry skill works wonders on her. But again, I just felt like the fight itself, while somewhat decent, felt a bit boring at times. Again, mostly because she's hiding behind the shield. Princess Elena. Not gonna lie, I forgot she even existed until I made this video. I don't know why I found her forgettable. She has a cool entrance and a somewhat visually stunning kit. But I guess visuals aside, her moveset is just not all that interesting. Look, I'm already getting bored talking about her. She's just, again, not bad, just a very mediocre and forgettable mage fight. Now we're in the top 10, so these bosses are the best of the best. And at the 10th spot we have Yatuga. For being the actual first boss of the game, this Yeti looking mofo is actually really fun. He's one of the best beast-like bosses in the game, which is kinda weird, because usually with games that focuses on deflections, Always thought that their beast fights weren't that great, and surprisingly for Khazan, a lot of them were fun, and Yatuga is a part of that. You see, while the fight itself isn't anything too extraordinary, it's still really good as he teaches you that deflections and brink dodges are a must. Now in terms of moveset, it's actually pretty decent. He has the rock slam that's best to dodge or block, the freeze breath, which can be used for free hits, and his basic combos, especially the spinny one. And yeah, that's it for Yatuga. Again, just a really fun boss fight. Viper, everyone's first major roadblock in the game. You know, after fighting him again multiple times, especially on a new build, there's not really anything bad I have to say about him. I mean, he does his job pretty well as a gatekeeper type of boss. You know, bosses like Genichiro and Margit, you know, the bosses that are basically there to skill check you. Well, it's safe to say that Viper is now one of these guys. Okay, so all that yapping aside, in terms of moveset, it's pretty good. In the first phase, he uses a twin blade type of weapon and he's extremely agile. His attack patterns definitely take some time to get used to, but nothing too crazy. Now his second phase is when he uses one of Hismar's scale to power himself up, but instead of looking cool and shit, he now looks like a chronic gooner, a lefty at that. Anyways, in this phase, his moveset completely changes and the entire arena is now dark. His attacks do way more damage here, but just like the first, you're gonna start reacting to them pretty quickly. All in all, Viper is really difficult, but he's also a really good encounter. Shaktuka, another beast-like boss that was very enjoyable. Now, while I did really love this fight, there's not much that needs to be said. He's like Yatuga but on crack. His moveset, despite being very wild, is actually pretty predictable and easy to counter. His design is dope, and yeah, that's about it. Again, just a really fun boss. Next up is Hismar. The fight is more of a visual showpiece and a real test of skill. Most of the focus clearly went into making him look really cool rather than giving him a super challenging moveset. When I saw his cutscene for the first time, I was thinking to myself like, how the hell am I gonna fight this thing? I actually thought it would be a gimmick fight, but no, it's pretty straightforward. But despite him being on the slightly easier side, that's not to say he's a total pushover. He can still hit like a truck, but compared to a lot of the other bosses in the game, his attacks are a lot easier to read. In phase 2, he brings in some chaos based moves. They're not super tough to avoid, but if you're not paying attention, they can definitely catch you off guard. And that's pretty much all there is to him. Now the only other thing that's kinda tricky with him is his hitbox. If you're using the dual wields, these shits can barely reach him. But apart from that, Hismar is a cool spectacle boss and I really enjoyed fighting him. Next up we have Reese. You know, for a mage type boss, she's actually really fun. You know, now that I think about it, most of the mage type bosses in the game are actually fun. It's just Balerion who sucks ass. Anyways, unlike Balerion, Reese doesn't have any bullshit moves to pull out. You can fight her head on with no issues. The fight itself is pretty dope, but what I actually loved about it is the music. Out of all the bosses, her music definitely stands out the most. Her second phase, while different, still feels similar to the first, so it's not that hard to get used to. But overall, she's a really fun boss. Blade Phantom is one of my favorite early game bosses. So remember when I said that Yatuga teaches the player that brink guarding and brink dodges are the keys to success in this game? Well, Phantom is basically there to tell you to watch out for delayed attacks, and a lot of the bosses in the game uses them. Man, at first this dude was piecing me up with his combos, but I got used to them pretty quickly. Even though he's on the easier side, he still has a decent amount of stuff in his kit, especially in the second phase. In this phase, his attacks can be tricky to deal with, mostly because of the timing, but overall you probably finish this fight pretty quickly once you get the rhythm down. Honestly, I think Shaka might be the most underrated boss in the entire game, because I've heard a lot of people hate on her, but I feel like it's one of those things where depending on what type of weapon you used, you're either gonna like fighting her or hate it, and in my case I loved it. I used all weapons against her, and obviously I had a better time with the spear and dual wield than the greatsword. I've already went over the issue with the greatsword in my previous Khazan ranking video, but with the other two weapons, she's fun, mostly because you can keep up with her pretty easily. Not only that, but you can spam combos without her getting any recovery. Her design is also pretty cool as well. I don't know, I just like the whole water witch aesthetic going on. And I also love the arena. Her moveset for the most part, while basic, has a lot of flair to it, especially when she flies into the air to summon the water crystals. All in all, she's a fun encounter with an engaging moveset. Remember when I said that Viper was the first major roadblock in the game? Well, Maluka is the second, and he's way more difficult. The second I saw this dude, I knew he was gonna be trouble. Surprisingly though, his first phase is quite easy, but the second phase is where everything turns up to 11. Now I don't want to talk too much about difficulty, but I think in this case you need to. In his second phase he's much faster. I swear, even blinking will get you killed. But speed aside, What's really tough is getting his stamina all the way down, as he regenerates it pretty quickly. He also heals himself quite a lot too, which, to be honest, is probably the only thing I hated about this fight. Now in terms of moveset, it's really good. Again, he starts off pretty fast, but in a couple tries you'll get the hang of things. I found it better to deal with the great swords instead of his katana, but all that aside, Maluka has the looks, the style, and the fun points to make me put him in 3rd place. When the cutscene played and I saw this dude, 1, I knew my ass was grass, and 2, I love the design. The shiny armor, the scarlet red aesthetic, the chains hanging down, and the big ass coffin on his back. It made me interested in his backstory. Now the fight itself is also really great. At first his attack seems chaotic and unpredictable, which makes sense since he's plague ridden. He has a ton of health but nothing too crazy, and in his second phase he starts to incorporate the coffin into his moveset a bit more, with various back-to-back jump attacks and the move where he stabs the coffin multiple times. Now despite his attack pattern being a bit unpredictable at first, out of all the bosses in the game, surprisingly he has my favorite moveset. I don't know, it's just fun as hell to deflect his attacks, except in the second phase where he goes apeshit mode in the first part. Now speaking of second phase, he has a whole nother health bar, but luckily his health constantly drains so you don't have to worry about fighting him for too long. Overall, Scalpel is an engaging fight, but there's one more boss that I think is way better than him. Now at first place we have the Master of Chaos himself, Ozma. At first I kinda hated the fact that he was a mage boss, but his moveset doesn't feel too spammy, and there are plenty of times where he closes the distance with you. His design is awesome and his moveset is engaging, but he also has a lot of visual flair to it. In the second phase his moveset changes up a bit, but it shouldn't be nothing that you can't handle after a while. And in the third phase, yes, third phase, he's slightly easier but still not a pushover. As you can see, this man is hard, but he's also really fun. If I were to complain about something, it's definitely the amount of health he has and the fact that he has an unlimited amount of moves in his kit. I swear I was refighting him and he was pulling out moves that I didn't even know he had in the first place. But again, that aside, still my personal favorite boss in the game, and side note, that second phase cutscene was incredible. So that was it for the ranking, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And hey, if you did, leave a like and subscribe, but I'm also not forcing you to. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys have a good one.